Jannay McIver is an over 10-year industry veteran, senior cosmetologist, multi-location salon owner in the DMV. She's also a nutritionist and licensed insurance agent, and she's part of the Goldman Sachs 1 Million Black Women Black in Business Program, Cohort 8. Today, we're going to hear her story, how she got to where she is, and there's going to be so much more to talk about. There's no way we're going to be able to talk about everything we want to talk about or everything I definitely want to talk about in this episode, but we're going to hear her story and how she got there. Welcome back to the Hairdresser Strong Show. My name is Robert Hughes, and I am your host, and today I'm with Jannay McIver. How you doing today, Jannay?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on the show and being. I'm just really excited to have this conversation with you today.
I'm excited too.
Awesome. So some context for the audience. I met Jannay at the Hairpreneur Happy Hour. What was it, August, I think?
August had to be. Yep.
Yeah, in August. And we were talking, and I just like loved talking to you. I love you, just like so business oriented and minded, and like a lot of the things and the challenges in the industry, and like there was just so much to talk about. I was like, we got to get you on. And plus, like your ambition in business to open up more locations. And I was like, gosh, I'm so happy to have met you. So I am really looking forward to this conversation. So let's jump right in. Let's go. Okay, so we're going to work our way from licensing all the way to owning multiple locations. And you shared something with me before we started that you are no longer doing. You're no longer behind the chair. You're working on your business full time, and that's a new development. So we're going to go from licensing to that point.
Okay.
All right. So first question: how did you get your license? Did you do an apprenticeship program? Did you go to school? Tell us a little bit about that, and then from there, where does your story go from there?
So I actually got my licensure. I did the CTE program, the career technical programs in high school.
Nice.
And so I was able to, of course, go to class during the day, graduate with my license. And in hindsight, that was so valuable, like not having any debt, coming out of high school and having that license. Like I was really able to hit the ground running. And so I always am an advocate for those type of programs because I think that if you are somebody who is strong-willed and determined and career focused, that like why wouldn't you start, right? I think most of us have the story. I've met a few later in life hairstylists, but most hairstylists have been hairstylists for a long time. Like you were 16, 17, 18 doing hair. And so I always advocate because it really gave me like an early start, a launching pad. People are always like, you look so young. How can you have done so much? And I'm like, I've started really young, really young. So 18, already had my license, already knew I wanted to own salons. I said then in high school, I'm going to own hair salons. And so it's taken 10 years to get there, but I'm here now. So I'm grateful.
That's not bad, 10 years. So you get licensed. So did you go, because of your ambition, did you try to go out and do your own business right away? Did you go work for somebody? And like tell us what that experience was like.
That's a really good question. I actually went to college right after that. And I went to college initially for accounting because I knew I wanted to open a business, but I didn't like it. So I switched to nutrition. But all the while, I still was working in salons. So I've worked pretty much every format, structure, level of salons. I've even worked in schools where I was director of education. Miss telling you about that part, but yes, I actually was the director of education for a cosmetology school for a while out in Gaithersburg. Wow. So I've seen so many sides of it, right? I've seen the behind the chair straight out of school side. I've seen the we're going to do it part-time at night and work in our own suite. And I had day job side. I've done it full-time on my own solopreneur side. And so this having a salon, even choosing between booth rental and commission, like the way we structured our salon was a learning curve for me, right? Like just learning the back end of things and how do we really want to move forward and have this be something sustainable and beneficial to other stylists.
So would you say, I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, but
But
would you say that getting to where you are, where you own, how many locations do you have?
we have two. We're getting ready to open a third one.
Oh, that's exciting.
It's
And
exciting.
so you, to get to that point, you went through in firsthand experience
Yes,
so much.
so much.
So like, would you say like if someone out there wants to be a salon owner, would that be like advice to like go get that type of experience? Is any of it, do you feel like maybe not as necessary as another experience, or yeah, whatever comes to mind when you're thinking of like a person, say someone just stopped, say, hey, pause,
Hmm.
give me some advice. I want to do what you do. And I'm in school, or I'm not far out of school.
Hmm. That's a good question. I would say you have to think about why you want to own a salon. That's really the core of it. And that's really what doing all those other jobs made me kind of have to process through. Like, why? Do you want to just be the most booked person? Do you want to actually help people? Do you want to, you know, give other stylists exposure? Do you want to give them a platform for something? Why do you want to open a salon? Is it to decorate? Is it to basically be the boss and boss other people around? Because that's the kind of salon you'll have, and you won't be able to maintain it, right? So I wouldn't say that you have to do all those other things, but all those other things literally help me pick out, I like this, but I didn't like that. If I had to do it my way next time, I would do this part differently. I thought I wanted to do it like this, but when I was in that situation, I saw that that didn't really suit me. So when it's my turn, I would do it like this. So really figuring out those whys. I don't think that you need to take 10 years to figure out why. If you can figure it out faster, great. But
Well, wait a minute. So when did you open your first salon? How long ago was that?
so I opened my first salon with multiple staff literally 2 years ago. Up until two
Oh,
years
wow. So
ago,
you're like just moving
oh,
fast.
we're on fast track. Up until 2 years
Okay.
ago, I was solo, stylist, still under the same brand name, but it really was just me behind the chair. So I had to learn everything from uh taxes, bookkeeping, payroll, pricing, numbers, how to give people KPIs, what should the KPIs be, uh legal stuff, permits, right? It's one thing to open a suite and things are kind of done for you. It's another thing to open your own salon space and have to carry insurance and have to carry the permits and speak to other people in the community and other businesses that are around you and develop those relationships. So, yep, it hasn't been that long.
Wow. So okay, so in that 8 years time span, you also did some other things, like you're a licensed insurance agent, you get nutrition. So did you finish school or
I finished school for
okay.
nutrition. And then I went on and did some work with nonprofits in the nutrition space. And what
And
I
you're doing
realized,
hair the whole time.
doing hair the whole time,
Okay. All right.
doing hair the whole time, whether I'm in a salon or I'm in a suite by myself, I'm still doing hair the whole entire time,
Okay. All right.
the whole entire time. And then the insurance licensing was during COVID, during the shutdown.
Okay.
I had
So
two
no.
children
Ah.
and I had seen multiple stylists that had trained me and that had just poured into me in my career have health issues. One of them passed away, unfortunately.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, unexpectedly. She was like 40 something. But when I tell you
Oh.
she worked, oh, she gave me like one of my first shampoo assistant jobs. And we would be there, 12 hours, just she cared for her clients. I really need it. And she would squeeze them in. And at the end of the day, it's like, what do we have to leave once we've poured all that we have, right, into our clients? Being behind the chair, you get home, you're exhausted. I've had carpal tunnel in both of my wrists. I've had spinal issues. I've had, like different things physically where I'm like, what if I can't wake up and do hair tomorrow? Like, what if I can't? What am I going to do? What is my life going to look like? And how am I going to make sure my family's okay? So that's what
Nice.
really led to that decision.
Nice. Okay. So it sounds like what so you knew you wanted to go open salons when you were like 16, 17,
16,
18.
17. Yeah.
So at any point in time, did that idea kind of park in the back, and you were kind of like, because you've done, all these different things, and like, yeah, the COVID kind of like, maybe brought some things into question. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like doing multiple things and having these different streams of
Hmm.
income, and like, can you just kind of talk about like what that headspace is like, and like, did you go through like, maybe I'm not going to do the salon thing and now I'm going to do the salon thing?
Oh, I definitely
You
did.
go through, can you walk us through that?
I would say after college, after I got my degree, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be doing what I got, my degree for. Hair is nice, I'll do it on the side, but I would definitely say it was not a main priority of mine anymore to open a salon. Like that wasn't forward of my mind. Even when I went to teach, I was like, oh, okay, I love teaching. I've spoken at different festivals. I've spoken at different trade shows. I love doing that. So maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll just be, a teacher in the industry, and that's how I kind of ride out my end years of how I want to see my career go. But during COVID, I actually shut everything down. Everything. I'm talking about the social media, all of that. I thought I was done doing hair
Oh wow,
altogether.
okay.
Altogether. And it really was, I'm not even exaggerating, an act of God that made me come back. And within the first year, so I'll tell you the story. I was like, if you want me to do hair again, and I'm not exaggerating, this is me talking to God. If you want me to do hair again, right? I don't have the booking page. I don't have the social media. I didn't have a lot of my clients. I had some clients' personal numbers, but not a lot. I don't have their numbers. I don't know where they're going to come from. I signed a lease on the space. I said, if you want me to do this, again, still talking to God, if you want me to do this, you find the clients. I sent an email. I still had my email list. I sent one email and I was booked for the rest of the year.
Wow. So hold on, let's go back one step before.
Go ahead, one
you're
step
you're
before.
you're talking to God. So before you have that conversation, how did you even get to the point where you were putting money down on a lease? If you went from maybe not doing
Not
hair,
doing anything
then you're
to,
doing insurance and you cut everything off. What is that moment like? How did you go from there to being like, I signing a lease on this place, God, if this is
what
gonna
you want me
work,
to do.
then I'm gonna leave it in your hands. There's gotta be, so what, there's something that happened before that.
I'm gonna give it to a stylist who saw me. I was like, okay, I need a space to do like, like two or three people that had stayed in contact with me.
Oh,
I just
okay.
I just want like I don't want too much. And
Okay.
they basically were like, you know that this is what you're supposed to do. You're too good to downplay yourself, pretty much. This is another style speaking to me. I'm just trying to like co-rent on the space, keep it really low key.
Okay. Okay.
And I will never forget, even the day I looked at the space, they were like, I think I have something that can work for you. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not trying to look for, a whole room to rent. I'm trying to literally split with somebody or something.
So you
I
go
walked,
out shopping to do some hair on the side and some
right,
space to do some side hair, and the person that you're talking to is selling you on a whole salon.
a whole salon. It was just two
Okay.
chairs. It was just two chairs initially, but literally, and I walk in, the colors were the same color, and she had known nothing about what I'd done before COVID, nothing about like my experience, where I've spoken, where I've taught, what the brand looked like, what the colors were, none of that. She didn't know me from a campaign. I walk inside, it looks just like what I would have put together, what I would have done. And so
Nice.
I was just like, well, that's interesting. And she was so just kind of understanding. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It wasn't you're gonna pay me every week or you're gonna do. She was like, hey, if it works for you, you can be here. If it doesn't, I mean, then at least you tried, right?
So you didn't have like the weight of the obligation of like a long lease and like a personal guarantee or anything like that?
Nope.
Wow, that that
It was
that in of
all a blessing.
itself was from God right there.
All of it was a blessing.
Before you
I
even
don't take
asked
credit for
God,
it.
that's what actually happened.
That's what
Yeah.
actually happened. And
Yeah,
so
wow.
I just And I think of moments like that where other stylists have said something like that to me or poured something like that into me from 16 years old, right? Like being somebody's shampoo girl, being in salons, working with other stylists, and they're like, yeah, no, Jannay, you're gonna do something else. And I'm like, guys, I'm in college. Or guys, I'm, working my big girl job in corporate America. Like, I'm just here in the evenings. And they're like, no, Jannay, no, come, no. And I'm just like, okay, whatever, just really playing around with it. But I would say that moment after 2025, after I really had no base, no like, I was just like, oh, okay, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do.
Wow. Okay. So it sounds like you were kind of like bouncing around a little bit and figuring things out, and then like the path was laid out for you, and the prayers were answered, and so that gets us to like year one.
Year one.
Right. So
Yep.
then that was a couple of years, like 1 or 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Okay.
3 years ago now.
So you go 3 years ago. So you go from, let me try this out.
Let me try it out.
I'm gonna give it to God.
I'm gonna give it to God.
And you have like, it sounds like it was kind of a low risk endeavor.
Right, low risk, very okay, reasonable rent. Like, okay, this is not too much. Like, it's fine.
Nice. Okay. And then you're like, okay, let's go for it. And then you have success. So at what point in time in that year or after did you go from one salon to two to getting into the Goldman Sachs? It's like a accelerator or incubator, the
like
Goldman Sachs 1 million Black in business. So tell us, how does that happen? Because like that's a lot. Like to scale up from being good at hair and paying your bills with clients to multiple locations and working with that type of cohort. We got to know the story. What happened?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Faith without works is dead, right? So I knew that if this is how I wanted to be, I took every opportunity as a learning opportunity, right? So that first year, I still had booth renters and I had some commission. I was figuring out the commission structure. I decided I didn't want booth renters at all anymore. So I'm just not afraid to let the business evolve as I'm moving along, if that makes sense. I think a lot of people are like, oh, you need to have it all laid out. And I'm not saying make unwise decisions, right? Like, I still look at the numbers, go, okay, we can't do this, we can do that. This is what's in budget. Let's have a budget. But a lot of conversations, even like you and I had, right, where I'm talking to other salon owners. I've spoken to other stylists about what they've done at other salons. I have my own experience of how things worked at other salons. So I was able to, I feel like, lay a framework faster. I probably was able to establish my framework faster because of my previous experience. So once I laid my framework, got it all out, got things in place, had an understanding of what to look at, what is a determining factor of if we're doing well or not, I was able to shift my focus from, okay, let's run this to let's scale this, if that makes sense. So things like a handbook. I told you I wanted to do this since I was 16, right? I think at one point, maybe after like 2 months of having the first location, I was like, oh, let me just see, what my business plan said from high school. I opened it up. And it pretty much said everything that I already was doing.
Wow.
It said all of it. I said, oh, okay, you really are doing this. So I really just had to take the time to rework some of those things that I had already written out in place. Of course, I did seek advice. I had a coach. I had a salon coach. I went through a program. It was 8 months. And so by the end of that program, I was opening the second location, right? So you're working while you're working. I can't put it any other way. I'm behind the chair during the day, and then at night I'm typing away. I'm going on Zoom meetings at 9 in the morning, and then taking clients.
And apparently at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's
so wait. So I gotta ask, because you're talking about it, not to interrupt, but what about work-life balance? I mean, I'm only saying it because it's a narrative. And you know, it's a thing, but like,
Yeah.
what do you think about work-life balance and how do you navigate that?
I am just now getting to, I think everything in life is stages and phases. And I'm not going to act like I had work-life balance when we first opened that first one. I was learning so much. It was definitely self-funded. I did not have funding for that. So it required me to work while I was doing the other thing. So during that point, yeah, I did not see my kids that much. I'm not going to lie to you. By the second one, I said, okay, I can't be two places at one time. So we're going to have to release some trust. And I think that's one of the things that if you have a vision for something and you have a goal to reach, once it starts to get bigger than you, right? Like there's other people that work there now. There's more clients that they're not my clients. I don't have like Jannay's clients anymore because my stylists handle most of the clients. So you have to give over a level of trust to them. And that only encourages and I think strengthens your team when they know that you trust them, right? So I have a little bit more balance now, just a little bit. But it's because I learned to delegate, I learned to trust, I learned to give a little more patience. I think I've heard a lot of hairstylists say at least that they might have a little tinge of ADHD or something. We go very fast. Our brains go so fast. We can talk for 10 hours straight and not even think about it because you're just talking to clients all day. So I had to be like, okay, brain, slow down. Like maybe she didn't mean it like that. Maybe this is what really happened, you know? So, and I just learned to give a lot of things grace. But I will say it's improved with me being able to trust the rest of the people that I have around me.
Well, I also appreciate that you said like something about like seasons or something like that, right?
Yeah, everything is a season. Yeah.
Yeah. So like maybe this season is not work-life balance might be over the course of life.
Right.
You found balance and you had to crank it up where you didn't have a lot of free time in those moments. So tell us about Goldman Sachs cohort.
Yes, so it's really beautiful. The program spans all industries, so it's not just hairstylists or anything like that, which really allows me to kind of see just how efficient systems can be, right? Like we all think our idea is this great, wonderful, unique idea that nobody can understand. But at the end of the day, you need to make somebody else understand if you want it to go anywhere outside of
Right.
you. So
Totally.
just even being able to hear other people's journeys, reasons that other people started their businesses as well. And then of course they give you that strategic mindset to think, what would a owner of a company do? Not a hairstylist with a salon, not a person who runs a jewelry business, not a, you know, not the person. What would a company do? What would, somebody who wants to make an impact on their industry, how would they operate? How would they show up? And so it's been really great for me in that regard.
So are you saying that there's a formula and best practices to this thing called business?
Absolutely. That's for every business. That's for every business. There's a
Oh man, I love talking to you. Okay, so we're coming up on our time.
okay.
So we kind of got like a more high level version of your story, which
Mhm.
is full of all kinds of information. I feel like I talked to
It's
you
a
so
lot. I'm
much,
so
and like
sorry.
I didn't know any of this. So
I'm so sorry.
like maybe a couple pieces I knew, but
Yeah.
okay. So one, how did you get into the Goldman Sachs cohort? How did that happen?
So you do have to do an application. I did the application process like in the spring 2 years ago, a year ago, and then I was notified. No, I did it in the fall, and I was notified earlier this year that I had gotten in for the cohort that started. It just started in September, so I'll be done in December. It's from
Nice,
September to December.
nice.
And that's the reason I had to come from behind the chair because it's literally like going to school.
Nice, nice. That sounds amazing. It sounds like, and do you like pick a project and you go say, hey, I want to open up 10 salons and that's what you're working on, or are you just working on like one salon?
So I'm currently working on our system to expand more than one salon.
Okay.
Like what is a Asili hair care center and how can we copy and paste that pretty much anywhere based off of anybody who's desire to kind of feed into that. My bigger goal was to figure out the framework of something that allowed stylists that are in our business to become the owners of those salons.
I love
So
it.
yeah, so that's what I'm focusing on. We go from apprenticeship to take you all the way to licensure, promotions within the company, and then how do we actually get you to have your own Asili hair care center? What does that look like without you having to have the capital? A lot of us are gifted but might not have the time to go to school or be as knowledgeable on that business side. So it would be helpful to have that framework and you can still focus on, your passion.
Nice. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so just real quick as we wrap up, what has been the biggest challenge for you in your entrepreneurial journey? And like what is a trial that you've had to go through that you're willing to share with the audience? Because the audience have
Pick
all
one.
been through trials, and the only people who make it are the people who know how to kind of go through it and get build themselves up afterwards. So I think it's important to ask this question. You can say pass if you don't want to answer this question.
I'm just trying to think of one trial. Which one you want?
Oh, I mean, just pick. You could pick
which
anything.
which
Anything that
one
you
do
feel
you
like
want?
was big, that maybe other people might not. The majority of people might say, you know what, I'm gonna go a different direction.
Um, I think once I understood what making a profitable business looked like, and that goes from, like digging yourself out of your own personal debt. Do you want to go to a bank? Like, how do you get those things in place? Um, where was I going with that? I think it goes back to the thing of like me choosing from being booth rent to just commission. Because I feel like commission kind of got that bad rep. And I remember being a stylist too that was like, I'm not doing that. So one of the trials is realizing once we pay the insurance, once we pay the taxes, once we pay, everything that we want to do, that we say we want to do, that we want to do differently, the retirement account, once you pay for all those things, having to go back and be like, guys, I actually can't pay you, 60%. I can't pay you 50%. That was a hard pill. I would just say for me to swallow because I remember being the stylist that had an attitude about that, right? And I still have had conversations where stylists have said, "Oh, you're taking advantage of us or you're just money hungry." And that really hurts me personally. I don't think everybody thinks that, like business owners care, but we do. We really care. And so because my intention is to make sure that we have like a sustainable career, something to fall back on, you're not looking up 30 years later and you're like, oh, I never paid into, this or that. And all I did was do hair every day. That like personal attack and having to make that shift and come into that realization within myself, like that's personal growth of here's why you're doing it the way you're doing it. You have to. And so even when you get that pushback, you just kind of have to understand why your numbers are your numbers. Why is your commission percentage what it is? Why do you have to charge what you have to charge with your prices, right? Like I don't have those squeamish feelings about pricing anymore. Because I know how much everything in the back costs and I know how much it costs to pay everybody. So it has to be what it is, right? So I think that's one of the things where people have to shift their mindset. That's what I hear on majority of the calls. It's the mindset thing. Oh, I feel bad about this, or I don't want clients to think this, or I don't want stylists to think this. That mindset shift, it is hard work. It takes a lot of sitting with yourself, understanding yourself, improving yourself, and then being able to be vocal about why things are that they are. Like I don't think it has to be a me versus them or like owner versus stylist kind of thing. I really make everybody understand like guys, this is what we have to do to be successful, like as a group. I want you to have a job, I want to have a job, like this is what we have to do.
Nice. Awesome. I mean that you kind of feel like you also answered my next question,
Oh.
but I'm gonna ask it anyway. What is a piece of advice that you have for somebody who is wanting to become a salon owner,
Okay.
and for the salon owner, and I actually can think of one or two right now who want to open up multiple locations. what advice, as we kind
What
of wrap up and
advice?
sign off, do you have for each one of those people?
I
New,
would
like, I want to start up one salon. I got one. I want to go to more.
You want to start up one salon, do your research and take your time. I'm only saying that because you think like the turnaround time with your permits and all of that is going to be quick. You need to do your research so that you have the budget for that time that it's going to take for it to not put you in a hole. Does that make sense? Like you need to budget so that you got 6 months worth of the expenses. You need to budget so that you can put the sign out front because that's part of the agreement in a lot of leases that people don't know. It's like, oh, I'll just do it as I go. No, they want that money down. You need to have that permit before you open. You need to have that license before you open. And all that stuff is not cheap. So research your state, research what you need, how much it's going to cost you, and then add more, right? To make sure that you're not scrambling and working yourself into the ground those first few years. And then before you do scale, I would say make sure that you know for sure, without a doubt, that that business that you already have is profitable. If the first one's not profitable, if it's not profiting, if you haven't figured out your hiring process, if you haven't figured out your budget for everything, for products, for marketing, for payroll, if you haven't figured out, how much you made at that first one so you can have a good idea, like you can't think you're going to make $500,000 in your first location, only made this amount in the first year. So I would just say make sure that that first one is profitable. Write down every little system. I read a book and they basically said that you have to write down every little thing about you that makes you you so that somebody else can replicate it. And you're thinking it's common sense. I promise you it's not common sense. If you want everybody to say hello when they walk in the door, you need to write that down. If you want everybody to, mop the floor every night, you have to write it down. And we get so tied up in moving and the look of things that sometimes we forget to sit and write it down. Make it plain so that the next person can read it and can do it, and then you won't be stretching yourself thin trying to replicate yourself in multiple places, right? It'll be up to whoever you hire, whoever you add to your team to implement what you have put down.
So that advice is so good because I feel like that's advice that almost every single person in this industry could use. I mean, and it's not just this industry; it's small business owners in general.
Business owners in general.
I'm part of a cohort myself, small, and
Okay.
no fancy name like Goldman Sachs, but it's clear that there's a lot of the challenges that we talk about with each other have to do with there's no systems or things aren't written
There's no
down,
system. Yeah.
or there's unspoken expectations
There you
that
go.
you believe is
Whew.
common sense.
Oh, and it'll make you so frustrated. You'll want to throw in the towel and quit.
Yeah.
And that's really you want to know where that lesson came from. That lesson came from marriage. You want to be with somebody and you thinking they saw the trash and they gonna take it out and they didn't take it out. You have to write down every single expectation from what you want them to say on the phone. Okay, the amount of just this is what you say at this time, this is what you say at that time, this is what you say at this time. I mean, every little thing, because you want people to have a certain experience at your business, right? You know that when you go certain places, you have a certain experience. What do they do? What do they teach their people to do to make sure that that experience is consistent? So I spent all of that first year while I was working, while I was getting coaching, while I was applying for programs, writing every single thing down. So the second one, I really was just testing if what I wrote down could work, right? Like, and if it didn't, don't be afraid to rewrite it. Don't be such a stickler of you have to do it this way, and then you see that people aren't there yet, right? If you want to deal with, I know for a fact we'll be dealing with stylists that are potentially coming out of school or seeking licensure. You can be so gifted in doing hair, right? Even without a license. But there's other things that I know and I'm prepared to teach them because I want everybody to have a certain experience. So if your market is veteran stylists, you might have a different burden to bear. But if you're going to deal with the people who are just entering and you don't want them to have that Everybody's like, oh, I had a bad experience when I first came out of school. If you don't want to be that person, you have to make sure that you put some things in place so that they don't have those same type of experiences that we had.
And that is where we will stop, because that starts a whole other conversation.
Yes, it
that you and
does.
that's what you and I were digging into. So we're going to have to come back and circle back on that one at another time. Real quick before I sign off, do you remember the name of that book that you read?
The book I read was called Scale or Fail.
Scale or Fail. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been incredible. It's been an honor and privilege to hear your story, and I'm sure someone listening and watching got something from it. I look forward to talking to you again, and just thank you so much for coming and sharing your story and all the lessons you've learned and your advice.
I don't know how you got all of that out of me, but thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Well, until next time, I'll see you later. Bye. Stop him.